Matt Peiken here with the Wake Up Podcast, and I have a confession to make. I don't live in your city. I produce this newscast from all the credible sources of journalism and the reporters who make up your local media landscape. I try to get the names of people and places right, but once in a while I'll mispronounce something. So I want you to set me straight so I don't repeat the mistake. If you hear anything amiss or just want to send feedback on the show, email me at editor@wakeupthenews.org. All right, on with the news. Wake up, Raleigh. I'm Matt Peiken, and this is your local newscast for Wednesday, March 4th. Two-term incumbent Valerie Foushee appears to have edged out Nita Allam in a tight Democratic primary race for North Carolina's 4th Congressional District. Of more than 120,000 ballots cast, only 1% separated the two. Early and absentee votes favored Foushee, as did voters in Chatham and Orange counties, while Election Day ballots leaned toward Allam, a Durham County commissioner, who won the majority of votes in Durham and Wake counties. The rematch drew nearly $4.5 million in outside spending. In this heavily Democratic district, the winner is all but guaranteed a seat in Congress. Read more about this race in the News and Observer. 6 area colleges and universities are part of a new 5-year effort to strengthen North Carolina's social work workforce, especially in rural and underserved communities. The Public Service Leadership Program is a partnership between the State Department of Health and Human Services and 25 colleges and universities, including NC State, Meredith College, and Shaw University. Other schools in the mix include UNC Chapel Hill, NC Central, and Campbell University. The program aims to double the number of social workers serving vulnerable residents by offering student loan repayment in exchange for a 3-year public service commitment. State data show wide gaps in care, with some counties lacking any licensed clinical social workers. Officials hope the program proves successful enough to secure long-term funding. Read more about this at NC Newsline. North Carolina's public universities and community colleges face an April 24th deadline to make their websites and mobile apps accessible under updated Americans with Disabilities Act rules. The U.S. Department of Justice now requires schools to meet a standard known as Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. That includes captions for videos, text alternatives for images, and content that works with assistive technology. Some campuses say they're on track, while experts warn full compliance isn't realistic by the deadline. One former federal official says, quote, "Nobody will be compliant by the deadline." Read more about this at Carolina Public Press. Breeze Airways is set to launch its first international flight from Raleigh-Durham International Airport this morning, with service to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. The startup carrier recently secured FAA approval to operate as a U.S. flag carrier, clearing the way for overseas routes. Chief Executive David Neeleman says Punta Cana is just the start of Breeze's international plans at RDU. The airline has established a local crew base and is betting strong ticket sales will sustain the route. Of 14 new RDU flights planned this year, 10 are from Breeze. Read more about this in the Triangle Business Journal. And a high-profile retail space at Raleigh's 5 Points is about to hit the market again. Julie Flournoy is closing For Your Convenience at the end of this month. The shop at 1700 Glenwood Avenue across from Hayes Barton Baptist Church features work by local artists along with gifts and accessories. Flournoy says rising costs and rent topping $4,000 led to her decision to retire. She said, quote, "My love is selling and supporting local artists, but I'm ready to get out of retail." Avison Young is now listing space in the building for lease. Read more about this in the Business Journal. Our free newsletter is a quick local news digest, essentially this newscast in written form. Subscribe at wakeupral.transistor.fm. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Wake Up Raleigh, and please share this podcast with your friends who care about this city. I'm Matt Peiken. Thanks so much for starting your weekdays with Wake Up Raleigh.